Keep your hands above your head. Face away from me.
Officer Ryan Haig stops the truck and orders the driver out while Officer William Snyder places him in cuffs.
Welcome back to the Junkyard News.
This video was intended to inform and educate the public.
In today's video news stories, Echoes of the Blue Line, we're going to be diving into a story about an ex-Leo who, ironically, now knows how it feels when police pull over and do a felony stop on an innocent person due to the police officer's own mistakes and incompetence.
What was supposed to be a trip through the drive-thru after work turned into a nightmare for an Illinois man. Danny Brooks was in Lafayette for work and was pulled over at gunpoint, handcuffed, and held in a police cruiser because officers thought his truck was stolen. Those officers were wrong.
Step out of the car, keep your hands up.
A tense scene outside the Lafayette Chick-fil-A. Officers with guns drawn stop the driver of what they believe is a stolen truck.
And in this case, this ex-Leo, like most civilians out there, has now filed a lawsuit against Lafayette Police Department officers for pulling guns on him as he exited a Chick-fil-A drive-thru, all because of a police typo in their computer that flagged his company truck as being stolen, even though the tag came back to a car. That should have been the first clue to the officer to double check, because what was supposed to be a trip through a drive-thru after work turned into a nightmare for ex-officer Danny Brooks. He's an Illinois man who was in Lafayette for work and was pulled over at gunpoint, cuffed and stuffed in the back of a police cruiser because officers thought his truck was stolen. You see, Mr. Brooks' vehicle, his license plate, was scanned by a license plate reader that was installed in the city. The license plate reader system doesn't differentiate a commercial plate from a non-commercial plate because there is an extra letter. It's a C for commercial. So it flagged his plate, thinking it was a different vehicle, as a stolen vehicle.
Flock automatic license plate reader cameras, also known as ALPR cameras. These cameras are designed to notify us when a stolen vehicle passes by them, someone with felony warrants, amber alerts, silver alerts, and cops alerts, which stands for keeping our people safe. It's the equivalent of a be on the lookout alert for law enforcement. So they won't be detecting speeders, any type of traffic violations, expired registrations, or anything of that nature. The flock cameras will only be capturing the rear of the vehicle and the license plate, and the technology allows it to identify the make and model of the vehicles that are captured. They won't be capturing any personal identifying information. They won't be capturing pictures of the drivers or any other information. The data captured by these cameras is retained for 30 days.
Which prompted Lafayette police to scour the area for this supposedly stolen vehicle. Now, when the officer found Mr. Brooks in his commercial vehicle, his truck, they instituted a felony stop on him at gunpoint, pulled him out of the vehicle at gunpoint, fingers on the trigger, cuffed him, searched him, stuffed him in the back of a squad car, and it was Mr. Brooks himself who told the officer, "Hey, when you ran the plate, did you put the little C in for commercial, or did you omit that? Because if you omit that, you screwed up."
Officer William Snyder places him in cuffs. In fact, Danny Brooks was a contractor for General Electric going through the drive-thru after work.
This plate comes back as stolen. Okay? It can't be. It's my company vehicle.
So what happened? Brooks's plate was identical to a stolen car out of Illinois except for a C signifying a commercial vehicle. Brooks realizes the mistake before officers do.
You have to run the C on my license plate too. Illinois has a C if you don't run the C on it. Yep. I've had this issue with their plates before.
LPD flock surveillance cameras and officers didn't notice the C. They also didn't realize the stolen car's plate returned to a Chevrolet Impala, not a pickup truck.
The plate datation on this truck is the exact same plate and then C. Charles for commercial.
And that's exactly what happened. You see, Mr. Brooks at one time had worked in law enforcement, and he never thought his evening drive after work to go get something to eat would turn into the nightmare it did. I mean, in his career, he'd seen it all probably, the good, the bad, and the deeply flawed. and now he enjoyed the simple pleasures in life of working a job that didn't suck on the tits of the American taxpayer. But on this evening, as he pulled through a drive-thru to get something to eat after work, I wonder if his thoughts drifted back to his years in public service. I wonder if he had thought he had tried to be a fair cop, doing his best to balance justice with compassion. But little did he know, fate had a lesson in empathy just waiting around the corner. No, I kind of wonder, when Mr. Brooks noticed the police cruiser in his rearview mirror with its lights flashing and its sirens wailing, what went through his mind? Probably like most Americans, he thought to himself, wait a minute, I wasn't speeding. I didn't do anything wrong. Why are they pulling me over? And I bet a little bit confused, he glanced at his speedometer. He was probably a little puzzled. He pulled over to the side of the road and he probably rolled his window down in preparation to what was about to transpire. He probably thought, okay, the cops are going to come up and they're going to explain to me why I'm being pulled over. Okay, no big deal. But within seconds, the situation escalated. The two officers jumped out of their vehicle, drew their guns, pointed their guns at his vehicle, and started barking orders. And I bet he thought to himself, this isn't standard protocol for a traffic stop. What the hell is going on? Because the next thing he probably heard was, get out of the vehicle and put your hands where we could see them. I bet you at that moment, Mr. Brooks kind of reverted back to his own training during his time as a Leo. But at this time, he was on the receiving end.
Now that is irony!
Now he did exit the car, raised his hands, probably tried to remain calm. But the irony of the situation probably struck him pretty hard. I mean, he'd been in these officers' shoes probably countless times, but now he got the feel, the fear, and the confusion that civilians must feel all the time in these situations, and they happen every day in this country. Now, after he was searched, cuffed, stuffed in the back of a squad car, Mr. Brooks had a conversation with the deputy when he was told, well, the license comes back as stolen. And he asked the officer, did you run the tag correctly? If you didn't also enter the C for commercial vehicle, that's where you screwed up. And now, because of the situation, Mr. Brooks finds himself wanting justice. I mean, they didn't beat him. They didn't tase him. All he had to go through was a felony stop with guns pointed at him. He wasn't hurt in any way. Wasn't really mistreated other than the felony stop when he had done nothing wrong. But now, he's filed a lawsuit. Now, the body camera footage that was obtained by news agencies shows the officers were in the wrong in this case. And Mr. Brooks tells them, I think you got the wrong person. I don't know what's going on, but I didn't do anything wrong. And in fact, Danny Brooks was a contractor for General Electric. That's right. Working a normal job, just like any other person, again, no longer sucking the tit of the taxpayer. And when the officer tells Mr. Brooks, the plate on your truck comes back as stolen, Mr. Brooks told him, that can't be. It's my company vehicle. And it took Mr. Brooks to realize the mistake in the running of the plate and how they omitted the commercial C in the plate number before the cops even realized what had gone wrong. Mr. Brooks tells the cop, you have to run the C on my license plate too, he says. Illinois has a C, and if you don't run the C on it, and that's when Snyder replies, yep, yeah, I've had issues with their plates before. So this has happened before. This ex-Leo is not the first person that this mistake has been made on. Officers on scene also didn't notice that the plate that came back as stolen was returned as a Chevrolet Impala, not a pickup truck. And now, ex-Leo Brooks is suing Lafayette Police Department. And Brooks was eventually removed from the squad car and uncuffed when officers realized their mistake. His attorney says he's now got PTSD. He's a former combat veteran in the Air Force. He's also a former police officer himself. Things could have gone really out of hand. But my client was, I guess, as poised as you could possibly be in a situation that tense. And it served them well in that situation. Now, a spokesperson, LPD, says none of the officers received any disciplinary action, but the department was provided additional training on the use of the flock camera system.
Step out of the car, keep your hands up!
Be careful, people. This could happen to you very easily. And who knows? One of these days, we could be talking about a story involving you in the next one. Thanks again. Videos uploaded by the Junkyard News are helped in part by viewers just like you. You can show your support for this channel by clicking the thumbs up, sharing our videos. Don't want to miss a video or a story? Make sure to check us out and like us on Facebook at The Junkyard News.